Hello guys, DJ Aaron here. Today we are going to make another video. Today we're going to see how much tracking force I'm using on this turntable. So as you can see, this turntable has no anti-skate, but however, you can actually get the right tracking force. And I have tested this, and I feel that sometimes the counterweight does not show should I say an accurate reading of what your tracking force is. So this is why we have these. These are tracking force scales, so we can actually tell exactly how much tracking force we're actually using on this particular cartridge. Now, people say that you cannot use these CC-1 cartridges on straight arms. Well, I beg to differ, because in the instructions it states you can use them on straight arms such as this. So I'm going to pause this with the magic of video editing. We will be right back, and we'll see how much tracking force we have on this particular cartridge. Okay, so the best way to tell that you have the right tracking force is, I want to make sure I get that's too much. I want to make sure I get this straight on the platter here. Alright, so we are roughly at 3.3, in between 3.2 and 3.3. Not bad. 3.4. So I would have to say that isn't bad for the actual weight of the particular cartridge that I'm running. And yes, it is directly on 3 grams of the phono cartridge, as you could tell right there, or the counterweight. But stupid light turn off. We are running at an average of 3.4, so the counterweight is pretty much not an accurate reading. So if we were to get a much more accurate reading, right now it says 3.5, but if we were to get an accurate reading, we would have to bump the counterweight down a little bit. Now we have to turn this off and reset it. There we go. Reset it. Okay, that's 2.95. So we need to get it a little dead on there. It's not right on the dot. Okay. Damn, it's kind of hard to get it centered here. So we're hovering in between 2.94, 2.95, so a little bit more. Try and get it dialed in. Not dialed in yet. Hang on just a second, it's not cooperating on camera. 2.99, I had it set, it was reading 3 grams before it went back down to 2.99. So let's see if I can get it kind of set. Okay, so we're exactly spot on 3 grams. So I had to typically make sure that we are spot on 3.00. So that's 3 grams on the dot. So you do want to dial it out to 3 grams. So on this particular cartridge, we are set. Now it was set a little, now see it fluctuated a little bit there, but that's just the scale. But typically you want to make sure that you have the right proper tracking. So cartridge alignment, this cartridge is completely aligned off right out of the factory, but I can set the tracking weight a little bit higher. I think the max is like 3.5, but I don't want to set it to 3.5 because then we'll start getting more sibilance and more inner groove distortion. So you want to kind of leave it at, as high or low as it will go. But I will have to do some more tinkering with the tracking weight. This is a nice tool, by the way. If you don't have one of these, I would highly recommend you to get one. You can get them on Amazon for a few dollars. All it is just tracking weight, or tracking force gauge, or tracking force scale. It works, let me tell you. You can dial in your tracking weight, and the counterweight isn't always accurate, especially on any turntable. The tracking or the counterweight isn't always accurate. I would highly recommend grab one of these guys and do the tracking yourself. Now, with a turntable that doesn't have anti-skate, I'm pretty sure that the geometry is kind of fixed geometry, especially on these Stanton turntables. But I do believe that these type of turntables, it goes with the force of the needle rather than full anti-skate. So it kind of pulls it towards the inner groove of the record, and it stays on the record as well. So I believe it's built into the geometry of the Tonearm. So I will be right back, and the magic of video editing, I'll give you my thoughts on this stylus scale thing. So as I was saying, yes, I do believe that with turntables like this, I do believe the anti-skate is built right into the Tonearm rather than, instead of a dial over here. I do believe it's a fixed anti-skate, depending on what your tracking weight is, etc. But these Stanton turntables are pretty decent, I would have to say. Depending on the type of cartridge you get and the setup, these little guys are pretty neat. Pretty neat. So never rely on your counterweight, because chances are you've probably set it up wrong to begin with. And it's nice to have one of these little things because it saves a whole bunch of time and stress when setting up a new cartridge or trying to balance out the existing one you have. Now when I get the new cartridge for this head shell, I'm going to be doing the same exact thing. I'm going to make sure that the tracking force is set correctly, and that's what these little guys are used for, to make sure that you have proper tracking force, etc. Make sure you have it properly balanced and all that. Even if it's just a hair off, it's okay, but you want to be able to have it dead on exactly. This particular cartridge is a DJ Concord type cartridge, and this sucker tracks at like, I believe, 3 to 6 grams. Right now I have it set to barely just, right now I have it set to the recommended to start out, but you can increase the tracking weight as you need. And this little guy will help you. And also another little tool you can use, like I already know that this cartridge is already perfectly aligned, but when you get a cartridge and you mount it on a head shell, you can use something like this. This is a protractor, and what it does, it helps you properly align your cartridge. Even if it's just a little bit off, that's okay. You don't have to fuss over it. You want to make sure though that you have no you want to make sure that you have no inner groove distortion, which happens with a lot of records. Even on this type of cartridge, even if it's properly aligned, since it's a DJ cartridge, there's still going to be some tracking errors, which will never be removed 100%. But if you use one of these guys, you can try and minimize that. But I mean, you're never going to get it 100%, and you're not going to you're really not going to get it 100%. So it is best to get it as best as you can. Combined with this little guy, you'll have a pretty good setup turntable. Now, being that this cartridge is pretty much aligned right out of the factory, all you have to do is just screw it on and all that stuff. So with these two tools, you can probably get away with just properly aligning things. So I would highly recommend get something like this, and then get yourself a little protractor as well. These don't cost very much. It's reflectant like a mirror, but at least these don't cost very much. You can align your cartridge. However, these do not work with turntables that have a fixed cartridge, one that you cannot take off. Those are already pre-aligned right out of the factory, but for cartridges and head shells, you kind of have to do it yourself, and you have to make sure that you have a properly aligned cartridge. Well, semi-proper, but you want to make sure that you have it aligned. But it is, kind of a mixed bag as well. I don't care much about what records sound like, but each to their own. Each person has a different set of ears, and they hear things differently than other people. When I notice inner groove distortion, I'm pretty much all over it, as far as trying to get the best sound as possible. So you kind of want to get the best sound possible out of your turntable, and you want to be able to do it the best way you can. So just kind of fiddle around with things a little bit. Just don't worry about do I have this set perfectly, or do I have that set perfectly. Don't worry about it. Just do exactly what you want to. So yeah, I hope this sums it up. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Peace out, and practice and enjoy.